What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the fourth album by Lady Gaga. Basically, this product is called Joanne, and it came out in the fall of 2016. Now, this is actually technically Lady Gaga's fifth studio album, if you count the one that she did with Tony Bennett, as far as those aspects going to happen there. But I look after the tone in terms like this, the standard kind of solo chronology. This is her fourth one within the pitch. Now, the thing about this particular record here is most of Lady Gaga up to this format, with not including the Tony Bennett album, which I did review as well. Some of those type pitches are in the Lady Gaga playlist, but just being able to say as far as this aspect's going to go, the previous one was more doo-wop and swinger type music. The one that was from 2014, Cheek to Cheek, as far as those aspects can happen. This is another one that deviates from like the more electro pop and kind of more rave type music that Lady Gaga did with the Fame and the Fame Monster and Art Pop and like Born This Way, some of those type ones within those pitches. This is a lot more Americana and soft rock within those pitches behind us. It's a good aspect that this kind of suits Lady Gaga pretty well. It's an interesting flavor to kind of get out this particular album. This is another classic here, just being honest, just looking after the tone. It's offhanded within the pitch. It's not typical Lady Gaga type format, but it does have things within those aspects where it's still her within the pitch. She has like the mammoth kind of hooks as far as those aspects going to happen. It's a typical format. When you think of some of those type songs like she did, like when you think of those inescapable songs that she did on the radio, like Bad Romance and Born This Way, some of those type pitches, it has those typical aspects of like some gigantic hooks just within the same aspect of this particular album. Some good type pitches. There are some up-tempo songs on here. It's just the aspect that this is basically like some Lady Gaga flavoring with more of like Florence and the Machine, Adele, and Amy Winehouse within some of those type pitches. So basically like some Brit pop and like some kind of more graceful, kind of folksy type Americana type music within the tone. And it suits her pretty well. It's a good aspect to see her be able to pull off this particular flavor, just like she pulled off like the swinger music from Cheek to Cheek as far as those aspects can go. So some interesting taste to be able to have these aspects and like a continued hit style within some of those type pitches, that it's not just one particular typecast type style that Lady Gaga can do. So some excellent type flair. Now this album was a little bit quieter, did not have like the widespread kind of promotion about it, pretty similar to Art Pop, how that promotion wrapped up relatively quickly as well. It just seems like Lady Gaga's particular more crest type appeal was in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. Not to say like she fell off. I mean, definitely this album has, like, particularly A Million Reasons has almost 900 million plays on Spotify, and Perfect Illusion was a pretty big deal as well within those pitches. But I look after this within the tone, it still feels kind of more in like a select type territory within the aspect behind it. It has the aspect like this was around for what the fashion of it kind of was, but it wasn't something that went out of its way to kind of be noticed within the pitch behind it. That's the same thing kind of with like the Star Is Born project from 2018, which was the next project that Lady Gaga did after this one. Both of those were just kind of more just kind of here and there type territory within the tone. Now, I think these were played on the radio. Within the right day, you can kind of catch a song like Million Reasons and occasionally like Perfect Illusion within some of those type pitches, but it's just the aspect still when you think of like songs like Just Dance and Poker Face and Bad Romance and some of those type ones, and the song she did with Beyonce, forget what that one's called, and Telephone, some of those type pitches within the aspects behind it just has a lot of good top-notch type appeals within it. So yeah, but this is another classic here. Just being able to say that just the hit appeal about this product, I like this kind of variety, and the originality factor is real high on this. There weren't seemingly like a ton of albums that really did this. I mean, you did have obviously like some of the ones I was talking about that the affluence kind of came from, like Amy Winehouse and Adele and some of those type folks within the pitch behind it. But this within the aspect, the concept about it is Adele only drops like once or twice per decade. Florence and the Machine kind of has a couple hit albums, but it's not as super common with them. And then, you know, obviously Amy Winehouse is deceased, so it's within the pitch. This is a good aspect just to take advantage like a subgenre and a pitch behind it that has some excellent type of feels and nails it. So yeah, I recommend basically out of the 13 songs in this deluxe edition, I wound up recommending 12 out of 13. So it's just within the pitch. There's only real true one type track. I'm not going to count one of these songs that's just like a demo type version or a different type version of like one of the songs on here. But there's actually 14, but that's just the concept of one of these I'm not going to count. So this 12 out of 13 is excellent type of feels. This album gets a 10 out of 10. Now, the thing to denote about this particular product is, despite the fact that I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, it's just the concept of just if you are more kind of anchored to like Lady Gaga from like the late 2000s, early 2010s, when she was more in her like electro pop and more Jeffree Star and kind of, where she was kind of in her more Jeffree Star and Cinema Bazaar and like Broken Side type territory within the pitch. It's more Hot Topic kind of alternative type fare. This particular product has a different aspect within it, but I'm losing track of the point I was trying to say here within the pitch. But yeah, it's just the affluence as far as saying like the boundaries about this particular product is definitely pretty blistering within the appeal, but just the concept of if you're more like a fan, like I was saying, I like the aspect of vintage kind of Lady Gaga from 2008. It does have some of those moments on here, and there are some up-tempo type moments. This is not just like folklore pitches like that, the standard push, or just like a brushy kind of autumn type music within a sense of just more folksy type songs like you would think of like more acoustic type music. It does have some of those on here, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying that this is not like packed to the gills with like dance steppers within a full bound type sense, like when you think of like the Fame or the Fame Monster or Art Pop, some of those type pitches. Just a different aspect that has a little bit more balance than it does within. I mean, it's definitely a contemporary folk album within the pitch. Usually when you think of folk albums, they don't typically like this particular product. Lady Gaga definitely beefing this product up with some dance steppers on here as far as this pitch kind of goes. Not just lounge at home type music within the aspect. It actually has some aspects of some night scene type music within the fashion behind it, but it does it in like an Americana type sense. So it's a pretty actually prolific type project. Can get that dichotomy of having like the homebound kind of countryside, kind of homebound type stuff within the pitch, but also like the step out of having like some pizzazz about it. It's very similar to Amy Winehouse and Adele within the pitches, but it's looking after it. Just depends upon like the aspect as to how full bound like the concept of like what goes along with it. There are just certain songs for certain days within those pushes, just because it does have like it has a decent amount of songs that are more kind of makeshift and more typical kind of workaday type push type songs within it. So it's just within the tone as far as saying that just the makeshift songs on like the Fame and the Fame Monster were at least ones that had a little bit more kind of neo R&B type sound within the pitch, as far as being something that had a little bit more spice and contemporary in terms of like an electro sense. But these, it's not like it's not like these particular songs don't have that spice, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying that it just has a differential type aspect that the Monday and Tuesday songs from like the Friday Saturday type ones just within the pitch. But it's just the tone. It's not to say they're bad. It's how it gets a 10 out of 10. It's just something to go in just knowing within the aspect that it just may seem like this album, if you listen to it and you think that this is going to be 10 out of 10 within the pitch, it just dynamite wall to wall, every single one's like a blitzing kind of take your shirt off type hit, and like the feralness is just the fact that it's a more balanced type 10 out of 10 type product. Just the concept behind it. It's not bad. So, yeah, Perfect Illusion's a highlighted hit off here. Both the first two singles off this album did pretty excellent within the pitches behind it. I want to say that these were both at least top 25 or top 35 singles. I know A Million Reasons was like a top 15 single, something like that, but Perfect Illusion is like throwback Gaga with like an electro folk bounce about this particular one. There's some uptown kind of pastiming, I would say here. Feels pretty similar to Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars from 2014. Some of those type pitches, just kind of some good Adele type music influence and Machine type flair, like I was saying. It's like a basic debonair kind of sludge in some of those aspects. So it's just typical Lady Gaga from like Bad Romance and Telephone and like Alejandro, some of those type ones within the pitch, just without like the kind of neon kind of electro type usual kind of contemporary, more rave type music. This within the pitch, it has some of that within a mild type sense, but it's just kind of more folksy kind of contemporary within the push behind it. So it just kind of does that, something that you would expect from Lorde or Adele, some of those type of folks, just within the pitch of having something that's just a little bit more within like a dance kind of like relative jive about it. So it meets kind of, it's like urban meets suburban within the pitch behind as far as those aspects kind of, or it's rural meets suburban within the pitch as far as those aspects kind of go, but it has a good type tone for that. So it's a good type of feel, real nice, clever concept, originality factors real high with that one. Million Reasons, probably this is the hugest song off this album according to Spotify as far as this pitch can have. Almost has 900 million plays. This is like a kind of sleeper big deal back in like the mid late 2010s. This is kind of one that was like one that was just off the Million Reasons was just kind of an offhanded hit around that particular time, just a quiet storm type one more in the particular fair about it. But this is like a straightforward kind of folksy makeshift ballad to kind of get here. I'd say just a typical kind of moody rainy day commerce. I'd say, and a good song for some errands as far as this pitch kind of go. It's just within the concept of just rumination, just out loud kind of rumination as far as this pitch going to happen. Just the concept of just more kind of this typical malaise factor about it. This interesting aspect because Lady Gaga didn't typically do songs like this just within her standard push, like her earlier albums, even on like Cheek to Cheek, it didn't really necessarily have these particular songs about it. So it's just within the pitch. I mean, there were like some kind of ones where just like some food for thought kind of just like this like not just not, there were some food for thought ones just within like a bickering type sense, but not within the aspect as far as just like the standard dredge and just more typical kind of malaise. But this is more stuff that was reserved for like Kelly Clarkson, Rihanna, Avril Lavigne, folks like that within some of those type pitches that kind of did that more makeshift malaise about it. This typical kind of 4 o'clock, 5:30 p.m. type sunset type gaze type music within a makeshift sense, but it works for what it is. But this is one of those ones I was talking about within the pitch. It's a good song, but when you're looking for something to get tore up to pitches like that for like the concept of like some more step out, this is a more balanced type song within the pit. This is a more balanced type song within the pitch, just a little bit more kind of makeshift push within it, just more workaday and personal life and like a work type fashion. So it's a good type tone for that. But Joanne is a nice single as well. This is the late third single off this project. Now this one, it came out like over a year after this particular album came out, which was kind of strange about it. It was interesting that that particularly happened there. I don't remember this song on the radio as much back in the day, but I would have to say, as far as those pitches kind of go, that this is another highlight. But this is more in the fashion of like Million Reasons. I'd have to say it's like a light. This didn't chart that heavily, but it's still a nice one. It's like a light lit, kind of warm out balm, I'd have to say, in like a dazed and simmering sense to kind of get here. Just typical kind of country folk type aspects is something that Taylor Swift or some of those type folks would kind of do. Carrie Underwood folks like that, I'd have to say, is like a typical kind of dope countryness haze kind of get within those aspects. So it is something that's just like a sunset gaze type one, just kind of the pitch of like, it's kind of a malaise kind of picnic type music, just something where it's kind of, it has like the mild kind of frolic about it, but this is like in a more dissonant type sense just within the pitch behind it. This, the aspect about this album, if you didn't know, Lady Gaga named this album after her aunt who had recently passed around that particular time. Very unfortunate within those concepts, but it was within the pitch that, you know, Lady Gaga's heart was kind of heavy around this particular time, so it's just within the pitch that this album does have some malaise about it, does have its share of like this like somber type songs, which does have like a good flavor about it. It's within the pitch as far as saying, it's within the pitch as far as if you question like the concept as to where some of this malaise kind of came from. It's just kind of, it's a heartache type project within the pitch as far as that particular aspect kind of goes, but it is a good type tone kind of getting these particular ones for those fairs gonna happen. I mean, within the pitch behind it, but that's the tone. You want Lady Gaga to feel better, but this is some good type tones within the music here, so some good type pitches. But these are some ones just within those aspects. It's a real light lit kind of acoustic folk type one. Really, like I said, just feels like a country song. So yeah, out of the 14 songs in this particular project, like I was saying, the work tape, one is Angel Down work tape as far as this pitch kind of goes. So this is just one I didn't really recommend. This particular one, I do recommend the original Angel Down. Was just in the pitch that the Angel Down work tape was just not too much terribly different. It was just a more snappy type version of that particular one. So I'm not going to count that songs. It's really 13 songs out of the ones I recommend on here. So out of 13, I wound up recommending 12, like I was saying. Only song I really don't recommend in any fashion on here is just Sinner's Prayer. Just talk about that one. This one was just kind of a more homely type one within the pitch. It's kind of one that just felt like a little bit more in between type tasks within the pitch behind it. Just some standard air and running pitches like that. Just kind of the concept of like some extra time. The disc really felt like one that just didn't have as much commencement about it as far as those aspects kind of having. Just kind of the tone. This is the only real one that just the affluence behind it was just not as heavy hitting as far as the pitch is kind of having. But this album's still going to get a 10 out of 10. I look within the tone behind it. So just a lot of these on here. Just being able to say there's some up-tempo ones like Ayo, Dancing in Circles, and like John Wayne, some of these type pitches as far as that kind of goes. And I would also say it's also like some good saloon type songs like Hey Girl on here. Diamond Heart's a pretty good jukebox type song as well within those pitches. But we'll just get to some of these. So Ayo is like a good foot tap kind of uptown dance thumper to kind of get. Reminds of like, definitely reminds of like Adele and Florence Against the Machine, or Florence and the Machine. I think it's Florence and the Machine. It's been a while since I have messed with some of their type stuff. I'm gonna have to get to them. But Florence and the Machine, looming kind of power pop steps kind of get within some of these aspects. So this has like that typical kind of Lady Gaga fashion and like a more kind of Brit pop type sense within the aspects. So some good type tones getting this kind of Americana type ambience within the pitch behind it. A lot of these work pretty well. Do you like these grooves about this? So this is not, when this album kind of comes off, I feel like folks from a distance may have thought that this is like a personal type album where it just is not quite as like jivey within sense, but it does have more than 3 or 4 type songs for this particular aspect of like some Thursday, Friday, Saturday type fairs. Just in the pitch as far as getting a lot of these. These are not singles. Most of the promotion about this product was more in like a more folksy type fashion. It seemingly was more personal, but the aspect about some of these album cuts do have like the appeal of having like some good Friday type flares. So it's good aspects there. Dancing in Circles is a real nice one. Now, this is a clever concept from Lady Gaga. This is unlike her for the most part from most of the songs I've heard from her up to this point, I'd have to say. There's like a hazy kind of smoke bar and lounge type music kind of get here. Some good hookah lounge type music I definitely have to say within some of those aspects. This has like a mild kind of Middle Eastern type feel. Good aspects kind of get that there. It's like some good after hours kind of bask and ambience, I would definitely say. It's overall nice groove about this one. This is just a little bit more just like kick back within a sense, just more Spotify streaming type sense within the concept, but just a little bit something more exotic within the pitch behind it. This real, it's a good concept here. Probably could use another song like this off this particular album. Just kind of a taste of Lady Gaga breaking out of the cycle, just like that particular funk that she was in on this particular product. So it's just good type of feel, having like that spice for that aspect kind of goes along with like some good disc, some good kind of recreational relief and like a hazy type sense. So it's just good aspect to kind of get that one there. Hey Girl's a real nice one as well. It's like an 80s kind of new wave in like a folk sense that I'd say. Just good karaoke bar malaise kind of get here. Just grab some drink. I would definitely feel like here. Just typical kind of unwind. It's a pretty hot song kind of get within those pitches just in the aspect behind it. So just a good concept for some of these type ones. Just typical malaise type fashion. How this particular kind of goes with it. This feels like typical kind of bar music that folks would kind of sing in like falsetto type voices just in the after effects like 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning as the night starting to wind down as far as those pitches kind of happen. This where Lady Gaga's particularly talking to a girl in the particular songs for those aspects can go. So it just kind of like drunken palace type music where you're both drunk as hell just in the pitch, figuring out how you're gonna get home. Some of those type fares are just like, all right, we gotta get on to the next day and just clean up the act as far as those pitches gonna go, or just not necessarily clean up the act, but pull ourselves together, get towards it, and then just figure out the next step as far as this pitch gonna go. So it's just good aspect of just like, all right, this is fun night, but now it's time to get to the next one. So then good type pitch behind that. John Wayne is a pretty nice one as well. It's like a murky kind of venue thump to kind of get here. Just good Florence, similar type Friday step I would say about this one. Just a bar hop and scene type music definitely for some of those type tones. It's overall Liddy type 1. These particular songs, John Wayne, Diamond Heart, Dancing in Circles, AO have like a pretty similar type fashion, like a jukebox kind of venue type sense, but they all have some pretty blitzing type appeal. So these are just some nice ones for that Friday type aspects. But John Wayne's definitely a nice one for like some good for like John Wayne's definitely a nice one for like some good foot tap and dance type grooves can get within some of those type tones. That's a nice one. Diamond Heart is just like that, like I was saying, it's like a power pop kind of jukebox venue noise kind of get here. Good Winehouse and Adele type flavor definitely, and it's like the usual kind of super. It's like the super kind of usual Gaga amongst those aspects as far as those tones can happen. So just basically getting like a Lady Gaga hit from one of those ones like Bad Romance, Telephone, some of those type pitches, just like a more jukebox type flavors, like some saloon type music way out in late 2016, early 2017, some of those type fares within it. It really feels like this, like probably the closest thing that most folks are going to get to like an Amy Winehouse album within the pitch of just folks who really were obsessed with the fact that she never dropped more music within the aspect of how quick her tenure was with dropping music around those tones. So it's just within some good type pitches that this being a good alternative within the sense of getting some of that type flair and fashion, good aspects there to kind of be able to see that. Do definitely like that appeal. Come to Mama is a pretty vicious one as well. It's like a soulful kind of fizzy pop message song, kind of getting like a mild 50s throwback kind of sense that I'd say here, just some jukebox kind of work a day. So it's just in the pitch that this is kind of jukebox type music, not so much like venue type music where you're gonna be just pounding shots or drinks at like a venue pitches like that, but it's kind of the concept of just more music that you listen to in like a saloon pitches like that, but just more in the comfort of your car, just within the usual kind of day push within some of those aspects. So just the makeshift type song goes with some of these ones on here like Grigio Girls and Angel Down, some of those type pitches, but this has a little bit more pep towards it just in the sense as far as that aspect kind of goes. So it's just kind of one, it's just a food for thought type song that nails a particular vibe about it. So it's a good type tone. Angel Down is a real nice brooding one. It's like a brooding kind of dark and a gas kind of pop anguish kind of get here. Just good antithesis ballad I feel like within those aspects, and goes with like a million reasons for those aspects going to go. So there are some makeshift type ones. These are some of the ones that just have some of that balance. Songs like Angel Down, Grigio Girls, Come to Mama, A Million Reasons, some of those type pitches, Joanne within some of those type aspects. Just kind of the tone that you get some ones for like that makeshift kind of push, or just like extra kind of food for thought, just days of just like air and running, just pitches like that, or just like it's kind of the stretching, just kind of a gas type autumn push, or just like a typical kind of just malaise type fashion within some of those type aspects behind it. So some good type tones for those particular appeals. But Lady Gaga definitely nails these styles within it. So this balance of these particular songs on this album work pretty well within the pitch behind it. It's just a tone that, yeah, it's just the basic tone of having two sides of a coin. The crazy nights and like a folksy type sense, Florence and the Machine type sense, and then like a more makeshift type push, or like the usual kind of day dredge, or just like some restless kind of long days within the pitch behind it. Maybe work was a bitch or two as far as those pitch can have, but it's just the aspect as far as saying it just has that usual push back. So some good type tones. Just the aspect Lady Gaga keeps these songs interesting, so good type tones. And then Grigio Girls is a nice one as well. It's like a malaise ballad stretcher kind of get here. This usual late day push I'd have to say about this. This typical kind of drudgy errands type music I'd have to say, and this has like a good moody taste about it. So it's just within the tone. So it's this typical kind of Americana type music, just outback stretchers, pitches like that, some Sunset Gates type music definitely within the tone. Just some more good vehicle commerce type music within the aspects behind it. It's typical kind of weekday push. Good type aspects for a lot of these. So that's the tone about this particular album here. So basically, like I was saying, I give this album like a 10 out of 10. Actually, I don't know if I talked about Just Another Day. This is another nice one on here. Just Another Day is like a usual kind of day frolic and like a half beat pep kind of makeshift sense that I'd say about this one. This sardonic song particularly, just a little bit, has relative sarcasm about it. It's very light licked with how Lady Gaga very light licked with how Lady Gaga is particularly sardonic about this song, but it goes with like a million reasons that I had to say within the pitch behind. So it's just kind of the concept of this kind of eye roll type music, not so much eye roll in terms of quality, but this Lady Gaga giving some eye rolls within the pitch. It is not really Lady Gaga just not really being particularly content with just like the usual kind of workaday push within the aspect of how things are particularly kind of affluent, the way that things are particularly kind of being affluent within the sense behind it. But some good type tones for that, just typical kind of fare, just like some good conduct, just something for like that usual fashion. If you really are just not having like just having some bad hair days, some pitches like that, some good type tones to just get like a good chuckle or something like that out of it, or just like the tone of just like, yeah, you know, it's just kind of typical feel good within the aspect of just something relatable within the pitch. So it's good type tones, good type pitches. But like I was saying, this album gets a 10 out of 10. The social score as a result, I'll probably give the social score like either like a 9.5 out of 10 or like a 9.75. I'd almost say within the quality of it, like this appeal of this product, it does have the social moments on here, and within the concept of it, trying these new tricks, it's a little bit different to kind of do like a folk and Americana type album and have every song be like a dance song within those pitches. So it's just an aspect that you do get the balance on here. So I would say probably 9.75. The reason why it gets the 9.75 social is just because the aspect that the promotion off this product was just not as full bound. I feel like it just felt a little bit quieter. Maybe Lady Gaga purposely did that because she was kind of more kind of in a tore up type sense than pitch behind, but it just felt like the concept of this album just didn't get enough reception within the tone. I think it did have like the accolades that it got in particular, but it's just kind of concept that probably could have stood to had at least one more single, something probably like Dancing in Circles, Diamond Heart, John Wayne, some of those type ones, Come to Mama, even I'd have to say Ayo, some of these type ones. Just good type pitches with an aspect as far as something that probably could have had a little bit more promotion, to have had a little bit more drive to have just spruced up the picture within those aspects. But 9.75 definitely has the Makeshift songs in here, has the Friday songs, the Monday songs, pitches like that, the Heartland stretchers, some Commerce type ones just within pitches like that. It's the concept of like some good mood fitting and pitches, so that relative fair. So spicy song, social spicy songs, and Makeshift dredge songs within the pitch. Has the basic aspect, just mostly everything minus just like a peppy kind of Makeshift song, but within the pitch it's not really as full bound like that's as full bound necessary. But I look within the pitch, this has the tone about it. So in terms of the future, like Lady Gaga is working on a new product that is going to come out and around this time. It's going to come out in like March or so 2025, so she has a new album. She also put out like a Harlequin album, a part of like the Joker movie that came out back in the fall of 2024, so some pitches like that there. I want to say that there was like something else. It might have even been a third project. There was like a Joker soundtrack as well that might have had some Lady Gaga songs in there as far as those pitches can happen. So really Lady Gaga, blistering amount of some good Lady Gaga to kind of get within those aspects. At least 3 projects within the past 6, 7, or 8 months is within the pitch behind, so some good type tones. But this is a classic here within a sense. Tries some new styles, pulls them off extremely well just within the pitch behind it. It nails these aspects, having a differential type pitch apart from just like the songs that she was typically known for, and didn't. It's dope that she was able to pull off not being typecasted in some of those type pitches. Cheek to Cheek with Tony Bennett was the success. Also assisted the pitch that she nails some of these new type styles, and just an overall fashionable type one that's just kind of offhand but nails it.